how to get along with anyone. Welcome, my friends, to another live video. This is Troy Stone King. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. The title of this video, How to Get Along with Anyone. Recently, I was working on a project with a friend, and during the project, we spent a lot of hours together working on this project, like a lot of hours. And during the project, we had some minor differences of opinions here and there, but overall, we got along very, very well. And at the end of the project time, it was a smashing success. I was satisfied with the outcome. My friend was satisfied with the outcome. Other people who were associated in the project thought it went fantastically. So we had a great project, great success, many hours together. But there are two critical factors that made this different than maybe some other projects you or I have been involved in. You see, factor number one, this other person was highly opinionated, like ridiculously opinionated, needed to share an opinion on everything, and sometimes was completely flat wrong. So that's factor number one. This person was was very, very highly opinionated. Here's factor number two. Ideologically, this person and I were on complete opposite sides of the spectrum. I mean, our ideology couldn't be more different. And yet, we got along very well during this project. See, the title of this video is How to Get Along with Anyone. And so during that interaction, where we had a project that went fantastically well, looking at the results and the opinions of everybody involved, and the 2 points that this person had a very strong set of opinions on everything that weren't always right, and I'm not always right too, and that we were completely on opposite ideological sides of the spectrum. So you ask yourself, how do you get along with someone who is very opinionated and has a complete different ideological point of view than you do? Well, this is something that I've learned over the course of many years working with people with all kinds of opinions, some of which match mine, some of which don't, with all different ideologies, some of which match mine, and some of which do not. There are two major methods involved in getting along with anyone. Now, one of them is something that I actually teach in a class. I teach a class often called Excellence in Technical Customer Service. And in that class, what we're basically doing is we're teaching technology people how to work with non-technology people. One of the major points of view in this class, and it applies to all customer service interactions, and actually in all life interactions. Here's the principle we teach. You need to take responsibility for the tone of the interaction. This is what we teach. You need to take responsibility for the tone of the interaction. You see, when I make it my own responsibility to ensure, as much as I can do, that it's going to be a positive interaction, then the odds are it's going to be a positive interaction. But when I just kind of let things flow, then it's not necessarily going to be a positive interaction because no one's taking responsibility for that. We're both going to just throw opinions out there, and they may not be the same, which leads to fights and arguments and very negative potential feelings. So factor number one in how to get along with anyone is you take responsibility for the tone of the interaction. And, subpoint here, you make it positive. As much as you can put in positive energy to the interaction, you or I do that. Now, here's the other factor. Here's the other critical point in how to get along with anyone, and I'll fill this in more in a minute. But it's lead with grace and love. Lead with grace and love. This person that I worked on the project, they had very strong opinions, as I mentioned. And those opinions were sometimes right and sometimes wrong, but they were always out there. Here's how I handled that, and here's how you can handle that. First of all, I listened with kindness. I listened with kindness. I didn't jump in and throw my opinion in right away and cut them off. I didn't want to walk right in with my own story. I let them say their piece. with very minimal interruptions. One thing that we often want to do when we're in a conversation with another person is they tell a story and we want to share our story, and they tell a story and we want to share our story. And it kind of becomes a contest to see who has the better story. And we're just stepping all over each other rather than listening carefully to what the other person has to say. And so I listened kindly as much as I could, minimal interruptions, and I only corrected the person when it was absolutely necessary for the success of the project. Let me say that again. I only corrected the person when it was absolutely necessary for the success of the project. I did not, hear me, I did not correct every time they were wrong, even though I wanted to. Because frankly, I'm a person of strong opinions too. And I like to believe that most of the time I'm right. But I've learned, and this is a cliche, but it's true, I've learned it's important to pick your battles. I've learned it's important to not argue points that are not important. If this person had opinions that didn't really affect the success of the project, I just let them go. Because it didn't matter for what we were working on. But if I'd argue every point that this person was wrong on, in my opinion, we'd had a terrible interaction, and they would not have appreciated me. And the project would have gone poorly, not necessarily because it was a bad project, but because I did not take responsibility for setting a positive tone in the interaction. So pick your battles. Let things go that don't matter. Just let them go. Now, here's the other part. This person was a person of strong opinions. The second thing was their ideology 180 degrees opposed to mine. Like, could not be more opposed to my ideology in almost every area. How did I handle that? Again, I listened to the person's discussions, the person's comments, their opinions in these particular areas. And here's the other point. I didn't argue at all. Hear me. In those situations, I didn't, have minimal input and make corrections where I thought it was for the success of the project. When they were talking ideology, I didn't argue. Period. Not a single time. And let me tell you why. I wanted to create a safe space. I wanted to create a safe space for this person to share their ideology. You see, no one changes their point of view when their base beliefs are being attacked. No one changes their point of view when their base beliefs are being attacked. People change their point of views on those base beliefs, the things that they hold dearest in their heart. People only change their opinions on those when they're shown love. When they're shown love from a safe place. And so, no argument at all, but spent as much as I could during that project leading with grace and love. So I'm telling you, you want to get along with anyone. First of all, take responsibility for the interaction to make it positive. And two, lead with grace and love. Don't argue ideology with people. You're not going to get anywhere with that. But if you create a safe space, if you show them grace and love, eventually they'll get to the point where they trust you. And then there will come the appropriate time to discuss your points of view that are not the same as their points of view. People of faith. Let me tell you something. This is pretty much how Jesus handled interactions. Jesus saved his most critical words for the religious people of the time, for the people who theoretically were on the same team as him. That's when he used his most critical words. But for the people who were, quote, sinners, you know what he did? He treated them with grace and love. And yes, inside that safe space, he pointed out their need for repentance, but he treated them with grace and love. He didn't come at them swinging fists and arguing points of view, not against the people who had different ideology. Grace and love. And then in the safe space, showed them the path that was right. You want to get along with anyone? Follow that example. Take responsibility for the positive interaction and lead with grace and love. And never, ever argue ideology if it's not already in a safe space and they don't already have care, love, and trust for you because you showed care, love, and trust to them. So thank you, my friends, for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it so very much. If you thought there was value in this video, please hit that like button for me. If you've got comments of interactions you've had, whether it's gone well or gone poorly, throw them at the bottom of the video. I'd love to hear your points of view. If you've got more private stuff related to this that maybe you'd like to discuss, then you can send me an email. That's live, L-I-V-E, at troystoneking.com. And if you thought there was sufficient value that maybe you've got friends and loved ones that this would help them, then go ahead and share it. These are all public videos for a reason. And finally, all my videos get over to my YouTube channel. About 100 and some videos over there now, I think, at this point. And that's youtube.com/TroyStoneKing. youtube.com/TroyStoneKing. Hey, for those of you that joined this just in the past couple of minutes or so, about 30 seconds after I end the video, which I'm about to do, it'll be on Facebook in its entirety. You can start from scratch and get the ideas, the concepts, the methods that I use on how to get along with anyone. Have a great rest of your day.